Welcome to Between Two Pastries, a not-so-typical nutrition podcast. Nicole and Annie are licensed and registered dietitians. Join them as they discuss hot nutrition topics, challenge popular beliefs, and have a blast doing it. Here are your hosts, Nicole and Annie.
Welcome to Between Two Pastries, everybody. This is Nicole.
Hey everyone, it's Annie.
So Annie, what are we talking about today?
Something with medical stuff. I don't remember.
It's funny. Well, we just started talking about but we really didn't come up with a name for it. So I think what we're looking at is kind of like the medical system kind of prejudging individuals based on their weight of like what kind of condition they have.
Well, weight, or how about this? Weight, gender, socioeconomic status. How about prior diagnoses? Diagnoses of your family members? All of that. I mean, certainly we see it more related to weight, but.
Yeah. I know that you have a very specific example that had kind of popped up for you, and I'll just say that I have had some clients who've come in and they were just like, you are not going to believe what happened at the physician's office, and again, their physician just wants to blame anything that they're experiencing on their weight, like
anything.
Right. And the thing is that I think what really gets me is, these individuals who are coming in, there's nothing extreme, abnormal. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing outrageously,
wrong
in regards to their body shape or size or anything. And to me, it's just, I get incredibly angry around this, but I'm really tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about it. And quite honestly, it's freaking insulting.
It's super insulting, and people should find new physicians when this happens. Really, at the end of the day.
I think it's goofy, but there's a part of me that I feel like, patients should be turning around and going, well, you know what, doc? I'm going to go ahead and diagnose you right away then too. Here's how I'm going to judge you based on what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, but that's totally my point. My point is that, these physicians are just coming at these people with zero, like you know what I'm saying? It's it's not like they actually really know anything else about this person, or they're not even curious about maybe something else that's really going on for them that could be actually contributing to knee pain, or could be contributing to, whatever else.
Well, and in the case, the example I have, the doctor didn't even see the patient.
That's exactly right. Right.
Didn't even see him yet.
Right. Which is, that's ludicrous.
I got a consult for a diabetic for a particular patient. I'm like, okay, diabetic patient. I went into the chart to see if they've been seen, if they've had education, if they're type 1, type 2, blah, 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 what their blood sugars were upon admission, all of that stuff. First of all, I noticed she weighs 400 pounds. Then I checked her diagnoses. No diabetes diagnosis. None in her. Well, she's new admin, so she's never been in the system. So we don't know. I checked her meds. No insulin, no metformin, nothing. Checked her blood sugars. 103 was her admitting BS.
Blood sugar levels, what Annie's saying.
Yeah. Yes. AKA blood sugar. Totally normal. So guess what went in my note? I said, I calculated her nutrient needs and all the things, and we have to comment on weight and blah, blah, blah. I said, this patient is not appropriate for diabetes education because they don't have diabetes.
Right. There isn't any. Yeah.
So then 3 days pass, and the medical team says, take this patient off of glucose checks. They don't have diabetes. And I said, thank you.
Thank you.
Because I've been standing over there saying, they don't have diabetes.
Right.
They don't have diabetes. Still don't have diabetes. Just because you're 400 pounds doesn't mean you have diabetes.
really much of anything. Yeah.
Means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's obviously, because medical said she doesn't have it. She doesn't have it. And I'm like, dude, I've been saying this since she admitted. But either way, it was frustrating. And then I had a friend who is a couple inches taller than me and maybe 150 pounds soaking wet. Diagnosed with diabetes.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So what? 5'4", one, whatever.
Yeah,
normal person, normal weight, a male. So it's like even,
oh my gosh. Yeah. That almost sounds underweight to me.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, that's
saying?
exactly right. Like totally not even by appearance or numbers.
Right.
In any sort of overweight fashion.
Yeah. Right.
Diagnosed. So guess what? Two very different scenarios.
Yeah. That is really, really interesting.
It's just frustrating that, you're 400 pounds, you must have diabetes.
Right. But this friend of yours who,
Well, but here's lifestyle.
Right.
Eats breakfast, goes all day out and about.
Without eating.
Oh,
wait, but isn't that called intermittent fasting?
I think so. And
isn't that
when you watch him eat, it's not ravenous, but he's still the first one to finish. He's still he's hungry. Of course,
because he's starving.
Hungry. Correct. Now he's not practicing IF and he's not, but that's
no, I understand, but that's my point.
That's kind of where he's put himself, is he just creates this busy out and about lifestyle. And now guess what? I mean, from a food intake standpoint, food intake is great. From vegetables, fruit, rice, beans, meat, it's a very balanced.
Yeah, varied.
Well, this is what happens.
Right.
Can happen. I don't want to say it's an absolute, but again, weight does not matter.
No, it doesn't.
So
your endocrine system gets that ticked off. Doesn't matter where your weight is.
No,
that's a possibility.
And just because you're 400 pounds doesn't mean you eat like shit.
No, it does not.
It just means you're 400 pounds.
I agree.
And that's it. And maybe it's meds. Maybe it's PCOS. Maybe it's, who knows?
Right.
Lots of reasons.
Well, there are a lot of reasons. Yeah.
Ooh, was I angry with that?
Well, of course you were.
I got consulted before the patient was even seen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah. It's just stuff like that where it's just like, come on, man. Like, I know there's fat phobia existing and I get it. As a professional doctor, professionals in a hospital, you might have fat phobia, but you set that aside and you be a doctor.
That's right.
You have to set aside your judgments and all of that.
Agreed.
And what's on paper? What did the lab show? What did blah, blah, blah.
Right.
What am I gathering from the patient? What's past medical history? All of this.
I would agree. Right. Like, to me, have a conversation with the individual. Do not insult them. Do not say, we should probably do something about your weight. Do you think that somebody at 450 pounds realizes that?
No, they know what they are.
Yeah, this is a thing for me. And do you kind of want to know my story, maybe? Like, this isn't something that I sat around and created. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, right, exactly. How about access to different things? We don't know.
Right.
Well, so I asked I needed an updated weight on that patient.
Yeah.
So I asked for it, and the nurses went to go do it, or the nurse rather, and the patient's response was, she refused and said, what does it even matter? She knows you know what I mean? And she hasn't been eating much. Like, there's obviously other things going on, but I wanted an updated weight. So now, in order to get my answer, she's going to have labs tomorrow, but she could refuse those too.
Right. Yeah.
So it's frustrating because she, again, she feels it.
Yeah, of course she does.
She knows
of course she does.
400 plus pounds.
Right.
So when someone wants a weight, she says, fuck you.
Such a prejudice. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
People know, and they don't, again, people who live in extremely large bodies, they're not purposely trying to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, and that's what I want people to understand, because there's so much judgment, like, oh, you eat this way, or you make these bad decisions or whatever. And it's like, time out.
Yeah. Like if you
Time
just
out.
change a few things about your life, it'll
Yeah.
work out for you. It's like
if you change who you are, life will get better.
just awful.
Yeah, I know. I felt just terrible for her in that regard, because it just, how shitty can you? But again, I didn't actually approach her and say, I hear you have diabetes. You know what I mean? Like, this was all assessment, not with her. So she has no idea that, you know,
that happened.
That claim was occurring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Because that's not okay.
It's interesting.
Not okay. So yeah, no, I think, I mean, I would say we see this all the time with a variety of different things, but I see it most with diabetes becoming like this weird issue.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Definitely.
What's your example?
Well, I think I kind of, balled them all up together of just, somebody comes in, even though they, regardless of weight, there's nothing obscenely, red flaggish about them, but they're going to be judged as, oh, your knees hurt. It'll help if you drop a few pounds.
Oh yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
My personal favorite, which happened to a client, was, oh, you miscarried. Well, if you lost weight, that wouldn't happen.
Oh, for heaven's sake, come on.
I think I've shared that on this podcast. That was like, I
think that was a while ago. Yes, I remember that.
Horrified by that.
Well, that is a horrifying comment to even remotely make.
Well, it's not true. There's nothing true about that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Like, that's awful.
Right.
So, but I think we do always see that. I mean, I've had orthopedics reach out to me and say, hey, do you have any worksheets on, like handouts or infographics for, the obese population, and when they're having knee surgery or hip surgery or shoulder surgery, on how to eat?
The obese population, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I've had that before too. And I'm like, no, I don't, because knee surgery for them is as the same
just like
as
everybody
someone else.
It's really weird.
So are you saying you are not a good orthopedic then, because you struggle doing knee surgeries? Is that, it's really it's weird. Just stupid. It's just really fucking stupid.
It's really weird.
Yeah, but we see that a lot with knee surgery, hips, that sort of a thing.
Yeah, completely.
Again, maybe it's not the weight. Maybe they just need to move a little bit more.
Sure.
Maybe they are eating fruits and vegetables. We make assumptions about weight.
Right.
That they must not be eating healthy.
Well, and that's just it. And again, to even just equate like, oh, your joints hurt, like lose some weight. How about strengthen your quads? I mean, that's how we alleviate pressure on our joints. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like, or looking into like other things, but having a conversation with that individual about, I mean,
my personal favorite is the whole concept of being inflamed. I know we've talked about it before, but that one is a personal favorite, such that you're overweight, therefore you must have inflammation.
Oh, yeah, like a lot of inflammation.
And I think what people assume is that inflammation is like this like concept of like your body is inflating. That's what I think people think inflammation is. Wow. Yes, because that's how they talk about it.
Yeah.
They talk about it like as if it's bloating in the body, like not just in your gut, but like in the body. I had a parent tell me that their kid has to be, did I talk about this? Dairy-free and gluten-free to cure their OCD, because the doctor told them, this crazy naturopathy doctor told them, it's inflammation on the brain that's causing OCD. Therefore, gluten and dairy cause inflammation. So stop eating those things. And that's why I'm saying, I think people think it's like what do you think? The brain's a balloon and now is like to the brim of your skull, and like, is this the image people have?
It's so
again,
weird.
Here's another medical professional, and can we call naturopaths and that all that crazy I mean, he was MD to start. God only knows if he still is. But again, here's another medical professional saying, hey, do this diet because it's going to cure your OCD, which is being caused by inflammation.
Do this diet
How about
because
that?
your brain is inflamed. I mean, come on.
Not a joke, and he just wrote a book on it.
Oh gosh,
Yep, this is
really?
like a real practice. Yeah, this is like a real legit dude that people see
Oh,
out in New York. I'll say no more.
oh.
Uh-huh. Oh my God, I was horrified by the whole thing. Guess what? The patient doesn't actually have an allergy. So I said to the patient, I don't care what you eat. I don't care if you have gluten. I don't care if you have dairy. That's a choice you're making. If you choose to eat that way, fine. After 10 days, not eating that way anymore. Guess who's improving?
The patient?
Because he's also like pretty close to being classified as underweight, malnourished. Gee, I wonder why.
Well, I do too. And
Isn't this fucked up?
didn't we even consider that that is also a cause for anxiety and OCD when you're
Correct.
underweight because your
Correct.
brain doesn't have enough
No,
coming in?
because there are providers and doctors and professionals out there who just assume you're overweight, therefore you need to do this. You have OCD, you have inflammation, do these diet things. You have all of this constant diet.
Stupid.
Isn't it?
Well, it's sick is what it is. I mean,
It's super
people are
fucked up.
much more complex and their
Correct.
conditions are much more complex than,
But the fat phobia is what's controlling a lot of our recommendation, not our, but a lot of the recommendations that seem to be coming out, especially, hey, I'm going in for routine knee surgery, but they want me to do all of this first, i.e. diet stuff. And I would say maybe there's some cases where there might be some weird thing, but like we've gotten to the point where literally if you weigh over a certain amount, it's like an automatic recommend, like they won't do the knee surgery. What?
I've seen that too.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
So I also, working with other dietitians who work with kids and to be moms sort of a thing. There's a lot of, your initial, you go in to get, and you get weighed and all of the things, and it's immediate. Can't gain too much weight. Got to make sure you gain this amount of weight. Make sure you're eating this. If you want to get pregnant, eat this. If you want to control your hormones, eat this. If you want.
I don't know if you think about this, Annie, but sometimes it's like if we didn't know what we knew, like from our studies and stuff like that, and we were
dietitians.
Right. And we were just like the layperson out there or the typical client that comes in. I mean,
Oof.
It's
probably would have died by now.
I feel it's so upsetting of what people see and hear, what they're told, what they read, and I don't know, and because most of it is just whacked. I mean, I feel for anybody who is trying to navigate life and choices based off of
how about
all of
medical
that.
diagnoses?
It's so ridiculous. Ugh.
Here's another one. A nurse, not here, in the outside world, a nurse told a recently diagnosed diabetic that, oh, you need to stop eating rice. That's a simple sugar.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And I sat there in my seat and I was like, looked up at the sky like, wait a second. That's not a simple sugar. No, it's fucking complex carb. Like it's not sucrose, lactose, glucose. Like that's not what it is.
I wish people would stop saying stuff when they know jack about any of it.
No, but I think people think they know.
I know they do, but
they
that's
think
the whole
they
thing.
know. And I want to just say, just stop fucking talking. And when someone says, oh, I was recently diagnosed with X, how about just say like, oh man, you know what? I'm so sorry. Let me know how I can support you.
Yeah, right? Instead of throwing out a
solution. Let me give you all of the advice and tell you all of the wrong things. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, you all know I'm a dietitian, man. And you're out here spewing diet advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And saying how high in protein almonds are.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And
That's weird.
I bit my tongue and I was like, I am so fucking done with dealing with misinformation, like in that regard, that it's like, you know what, spew this shit.
Well, the thing is like, and that's the
it's
thing, like
crazy.
all of a sudden, like, I assume this was an out of work experience that you had.
Yes,
And it's
it
just
was.
like, I'm just not, I can't engage. I'm
Correct.
not working. But again,
Mhm.
we've talked about this. You can't argue with stupid.
No, you can't. I would have been, they would have fought me on it. Or
That's
in
what I'm
particular,
saying.
one would have fought me.
I
So I
know.
sent a personal note to the person that she was telling this to, and I said, I understand you have a lot on your plate. Please let me know if you have any questions, because I do this every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know what I'm doing.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And guess what this person is doing? They're working with their doctor and their team, and that's okay too. With a dietitian.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Right. Of course. Yeah.
And maybe this person is just ignoring whatever they said. You know what I mean? Just nodding and saying, okay,
Well,
like just,
I would think to
I
survive,
would
they would
hope
need
so.
to.
Jesus.
Mhm.
Rice is
Yeah.
not a simple sugar, people.
Right.
Just because it's white like sugar
Oh,
doesn't
that's
make it
so
sugar.
weird. It reminds me of the glycemic index kind of,
Correct. Yeah. And
thing.
that probably is what she's thinking.
Right,
That's
which
what I'm hopeful she's thinking.
yeah, which also came up in a session recently with another client too, where I literally had to spend like 20 minutes trying to explain to them because they were so convinced that they couldn't eat rice either
I think glycemic
or a potato.
index, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's coming back.
Well, clearly people are bringing it up, and I'm thinking,
Yeah, I
where
think
are
it's
they
coming back.
finding this stuff?
I know.
Like it just,
I thought it was gone.
yeah.
I thought it
Well,
was gone and we had moved on to now just not eating at all,
well,
aka IF.
because I'm pretty sure that literature came out that it actually isn't a helpful thing at all in relationship to what it was designed to do. I could have
Right, no.
sworn there was
I
something out there because we all knew like this is actually creating more of an issue. This isn't quite how it was supposed to be
right.
used, the whole thing. Um, anyway,
Yeah, but you can't wipe shit away from the internet. You know what I
no,
mean? Like
yeah,
people
no,
want to search it out, they're gonna find it, and
yeah,
they're gonna
yeah.
read old science. And we've got a 14-year-old, and mom's like, well, we lock the cabinets, but he gets in, he breaks in. We don't let him eat carbohydrates. And it's just one of those things where it's like, where are you getting your news? Like, why would you do that?
This is a child. This is a child who is growing, who's developing on every level, including their brain.
Which is
Their
funny because that's what she said too.
what the
Isn't this
frick?
right? This goes
What
so
don't
far
people get?
beyond,
This is so
right?
weird.
Isn't it? It's so far beyond medical, what your MDs are diagnosing and recommending. It goes to, like, you think people don't listen to us. They listen to doctors and nurses a little bit more for whatever reason related to this. But what they listen to the most is the freaking internet
Oh, I know.
and Facebook or
Right,
whatever,
right,
influencers.
right. People they do not know.
Right. So Nicole, this morning I sent you that CNN headline
Yes,
that I'm going to share because I think it kind of relates. So the headline said, dangerous eating. I don't know if they said it like that, but
they
that's what I'm
probably
going to
did.
say. Yeah, dangerous eating. New study. Researchers link ultra processed foods to cancer. It was a 3-minute segment with, I'll look, Dr. Tara Narula. So with a doctor, okay, which whatever, I guess. Usually they're the ones running tests as such. My questions. What's considered processed versus ultra processed? What types of cancers? What types of
Agreed.
foods? What population? What
Yeah,
gender? What age? Who ran the study?
right. I would agree. And exactly what foods were involved and for what was the volume? What was the exposure every
Right.
single day? Like what are we actually talking about here? Because here's another here's another misleading statement in general.
Completely misleading. So that's on national news for 3 minutes. And how many people are...
Absolutely.
All I could think about was all of my kind of like orthorexic-y clients seeing that.
Of course.
And now thinking, oh God, I'm going to have to go do like, a lot of counseling on what's true and what's not true.
Well, a lot of cleanup. It's exhausting.
But here's the other thing too. So what about cancer with a little bit of processing? And do people not realize that all foods are processed? Like everything has to be processed for us to eat it, right? Like,
of course,
processing means cooking. Processing means pasteurization. Like, what is the definition of processed?
Right.
Because at this point, I don't even know anymore. What are people? Are we just going with the classic box foods? Like, is that what we're calling processed these days?
Well, when they were talking about ultra processed, because they labeled it as ultra processed. So it's like,
what does that
wow,
mean?
are there degrees now? Now
Apparently.
there's like, what do they mean by, and that's what I'm saying.
What a fucking joke. Because
without these concrete things, and that's the thing. Was it one study with 4 people? You know, seriously, what is really the validity of this?
Should we just name this podcast Bitching with Annie and Nicole?
Sounds good to me. Well, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Signing off.
Peace out.
Have questions you want to hear discussed on the show? Find us on Facebook or visit betweentwopastries.com and drop us a line. Want to support the show? Find us on Patreon for exclusive content. If you love the show, find us on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review.